All right, hey guys, I'm Kirsten Prosnick. I'm here doing my modifications assignment. So to start off, just want to show that we've got the gym set up, all the equipment nicely spaced out across huge space here. We actually just ended a strength class. So all the equipment has been inspected, made sure there's no loose weights, all the collars are working effectively, all of the plates that aren't being used have been put away. The regular maintenance on the cardio equipment is done anyways as well, and all the equipment has been wiped down and thoroughly cleaned following the class also. So now I'm going to start in this section here with some exercise modifications for body weight for teenagers. I'm going to focus primarily on a squat, a push-up, and a lunge-based activity, and try to bring those into all of my modifications for each special population as well. So for a teenager, I'll just move this down here a little bit. You want to try to keep with body weight as much as possible. So with their squat, we're just going to get them to be feet shoulder width apart and get them to drop their hips back as if they're sitting in a chair, but not hinging too far forward at the waist. So it'll look essentially like this from the front and like this from the side. Another really important exercise is going to be that push-up. It will work from all the muscles of the body while allowing them to have different modifications as well as variable ways to make it more difficult using just their body weight. So the initial push-up, if they can, is just going to be on their toes. Nice flat back, hands a little wider than shoulder width apart. And they're going to bring their chest to the floor and back up. Trying to keep that neutral spine as much as possible. And then obviously modifying that if they need to. So teenagers is going to be that lunge. So what we're going to do is have them stand in a neutral position to start. Take a nice big step forward and really want to focus on that front knee. So making sure that that kneecap tracks through the midline of the foot, doesn't waver side to side, and also that that back knee drops straight to the ground as well. Trying to keep that spine neutral. We're going to go down and back up. And repeat that on both. All right, next, we're gonna do 3 exercise modifications for pregnancy. I have had 2 babies, so I'm pretty familiar with these types of exercises. Again, squats, lunges, and push-ups are going to be really important exercises, as well as upper body rows, if you can manage those as well. So because I'm focusing on those first 3, I'm going to show those ones. Squat, super simple, same as before. Feet shoulder width apart, driving those hips down and back, maintaining as neutral of a spine as you can, and keeping those knees tracking. Now, with pregnancy, if the client has experience with weights, it is definitely possible to add in weight to these exercises as well, either in the form of dumbbells or even a barbell, if that is something that they're familiar with. The next exercise we're going to do is the lunge. Now with pregnancy, you can get some balance issues. So whenever we're changing that center of balance through the midline, it is important to give pregnant women some sense of stability. So what I've got here is a dowel rod. All they need to do is we're going to add that into their lunge position. Foot forward, back leg back, dropping those hips straight down, using that dowel for support, and just focusing on their lunge that way. Again, you can add a dumbbell in the opposite hand if need be, but that will probably be challenging enough for most women during their pregnancy. The next third exercise to demonstrate pregnancy modifications is going to be that push-up position. Now with pregnancy, you want to avoid being in a prone position for too long, especially later on in pregnancy. The first trimester, generally not too bad, especially with clearance from the doctor. But a good modification for a push-up in pregnancy is going to be an elevated one on their knees. So over here, hands up, knees. And pushing in. And that'll just keep the weight off of the forward momentum for them. They can also go into a wall push-up as they get further along in pregnancy if that starts to become even more uncomfortable. All right, so the next 3 exercises we are going to modify are going to be for knee and shoulder pain. Still wanting to keep to those 3 primary movements that I've been focusing on. So what I'm going to do for the knee issue is do more of a sit to stand with a higher surface. So this will allow for less flexion in the knee joint. Should put a little bit less strain on the knee, and it will also give the client a supportive base. So if they do need to take a break in the middle of the exercise, they'll be able to do so. So to do that, I've got my seat here, and I'm just going to get them to sit back and stand back up. So they're going to sit back into that base, stand up within that range that is comfortable for them. That might look as shallow as this. It might look as deep as this. So it's really going to depend on the client, and then also making sure that while they're doing that, their biomechanics are safe and sound, that their knees are tracking appropriately, and that they are stopping if they are noticing any significant pain. Next, I'm going to do a low weight chest press with the dumbbells for the push-up. So you can also do a push-up on the knees, but I find, having had shoulder injuries myself, that even just that kind of unstable position can be a little bit challenging with a shoulder injury. Whereas when you add the weights, you can go nice and light, and again, work within that range of motion that is comfortable for the client. So I'm going to take a couple 4-kilo weights, pop down, and push up. And that allows the client to really focus on the range of motion and the experience through that particular joint instead of trying to focus on the rest of the body as well. Now, another exercise that we've been focusing on is the lunge. Now, obviously not going to be very effective with shoulder injury, except for the fact if you were using any weights, you might want to reduce that or take that away. As far as knee pain is concerned, again, it's going to be all about that range of motion. It can also lead into more of a reverse lunge. So what I find with my knee is it's not a huge fan of going into that forward step position. It's a little bit unstable, especially on that pushback. If you move that into a reverse lunge, that unstable knee remains in that nice, stable, focused position. So put this down. Oh. So bad knee to start, we're gonna go in the front. And again, we wanna make sure that that knee is the focus. So we're watching that knee, tracking, making sure it's staying midline, and also making sure that that shin isn't going too far forward. We're gonna keep that nice and strong, step back and step down. Again, in that range of motion that's comfortable, that might be as shallow as this, might be able to go to there. Keeping in mind, they might not be able to do a full rep set or as many sets as you'd like them to do, but be really mindful of that inflammation in the knee when they're doing the exercises. And then to switch, nice and stable, stabilizing that back, not so happy knee, and dropping. Next, we are going to demonstrate some modifications for exercises for people in wheelchairs. Now, if we are suggesting that the client is unable to use their lower body at all, I'm going to focus on 3 upper body exercises that are going to strengthen both the chest, the upper back, and the shoulders as well. So 3 exercises that are going to be really important for their daily activities. And I'm going to start with just a row or a forward press with the exercise band. Get them seated, nice and comfortable in their chair, that exercise band up near their body, and we're just gonna get them to press away and back. Within that same range of motion that you would expect on a push-up or a chest press in a supine position. After that, we'll move to a row. So what we're gonna do is move their chair back, grab that band. Again, 2 hands, nice neutral spine, and bringing those elbows to the midline. Focusing on moving those shoulder blades together without puffing through the chest. And the last exercise they can do in their wheelchair is going to be an overhead press, a couple dumbbells, sitting up nice and tall, arms at 90 degrees, making sure they don't lift through their shoulders, and just pressing those weights up to the sky. We're going to do are for someone who may not have English as a first language, and therefore they need exercises that are nice, foundational, and easy to grasp as well. So again, one of my favorite exercises I think is incredibly important is that squat. Easy because you can give them a sit to stand command to start, and then once they get started, again, just demonstrating how to perform that squat and sitting back. And range of motion is not important at first, so if they need to just do those little hip hinges in order to get that movement through their knees and their hips before they're able to drop a little bit lower, it is great to start in that position as well. Another exercise that would be quite easy to grasp for someone who's not familiar with exercise, and you can add a lot of different cues into this exercise as well, is a bicep curl, standing, and then really just trying to emphasize on their posture and that neutral spine while they're doing the exercise. So it's easy one joint movement, but there's a lot of other things you can focus on that can then be brought into more dynamic movements later on. So having them stand, nice neutral position, shoulders back up nice and tall, and just telling them to bring their hands to their shoulders. Again, easy exercise to demonstrate for your client. And then as they get more comfortable, really focusing on that position. So keeping that tailbone nice and tucked, those shoulders nice and back, that nice neutral spine while they do it. All right, so you'll get them up against the wall. And essentially what you're gonna get them to do, standing far enough away from the wall that they've got a slight bend to the arms, so you don't want a full extension. Feet shoulder width apart, just below them. And again, as a trainer, you're really gonna wanna focus on the movement of those shoulder blades through their upper back. So you wanna make sure they're not using their neck or anywhere else. And just ask them to bring their chest to the wall. Start there, chest to the wall. So again, really simple exercise, but if you can nail all of the pre-components to that, you'll be able to move to push-ups on the floor and different variations of push-ups without worrying that your client is going to be doing them incorrectly.